Richard Keys, along with Chris Evans and John Leslie.
Hi, with me the victorious team here, Richard Keys, John Leslie and Chris Evans from the big...
One more of us, I want just 3 of us.
I know, this is part of the team, First Richard on the goal in the last minute.
Keep going till the end, Mark, isn't it? I mean, maybe I don't move about too much. But
this is true.
At all, in fact, said Chris. Yes, I was saying, I knew we wouldn't lose come half-time, because I'll never score past him.
Yeah. John, goal first half, in the goal second half.
I couldn't believe it. I was just waiting on one chance, and I knew he always... And there it was, and I thought, what would the goalie most do in this situation? I thought, just hit the ball, and it went in, and I've seen it going in as well.
You ever had a striping, you know?
Two fine goals from the boys. Chris, yourself? Outstanding at right back, I thought.
Well, thank you very much indeed, but it's not difficult when you have such great teams surrounding you, Mark.
No, it was a good game, and you all did well. Congratulations.
4-0.
Oh dear, we'll never hear the end of that from Keysy in the office. And I think that Mark Bright's doing a superb job. Dempsey better watch out. Well, now to the serious stuff. We're going to go back to Wembley and join Nick Collins, who's in the dressing rooms.
Well, I'm standing outside the Stockport dressing room, which is the away dressing room at Wembley. Let's go on inside and see if we can have a word with Danny Bergara, the Stockport manager. Coming through here, that's it. Danny, a very quick word with you just before you go out. This, if I remember rightly, was the dressing room you were in a year ago, wasn't it, when you lost? Are you superstitious?
We lost in the other one as well, so it don't make a damn difference, does it? We're here today to just make amends for what happened last year. I mean, I'm sure the lads are all determined, and we are going to have a good bash.
We certainly wish you the very best of luck. Danny, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Let's move out of the Stockport dressing room now as they're getting ready and see if we can have a quick word with the Port Vale players and the manager. Quickly across the tunnel here into Port Vale's dressing room. Here we go. Let's come in here. John, a very quick word with you. Your first trip to Wembley with Port Vale, how are the players and staff here enjoying it?
Well, nice and relaxed. All looking forward to it. It's a great occasion for us.
Are you fairly confident, given that you've beaten Stockport once this week?
Well, we have, but it's a different match. No 2 games are the same. We're confident we still can win the match.
We wish you luck. John, thank you very much indeed. Well, there you are. We've had a quick word with both managers. Now it's back to you, Sue.
Thanks very much, Nick. Well, I'm pleased to say that Brackley and Osman have now left the commentary box. The real commentator is there now, Ian Dark, and he's now going to take us through some of the scenes of Wembley as they arrive for the big game.
Well, it should be quite a day here, really. A real day for Port Vale. It could be this, you know, the greatest week in their history. They've spent 117 years trying to get to Wembley, and now they're going to do it twice in 8 days. The thing is now, of course, they want to win. Perhaps even the bigger game than today for them is next week's playoff final when they play West Bromwich Albion. And just look around here. They've sold 28 to 30,000 tickets, Port Vale, and their average home gate is around 8,000. So if there were a few delays for you coming down on the M6 and the M1 today, you'll know why. Port Vale fans, flags, scarves everywhere. Whole families have come down. And Stockport, well, they sold about 12,000 tickets. Of course, they're a club that are in the shadow of the big Manchester teams, Manchester United and Manchester City. Little humble club from not far away from Manchester Airport. And today they find themselves at Wembley for the 3rd time in a year. It's absolutely incredible, really. For them, of course, they have to come back from the heartbreak of having lost to Port Vale in the playoff semi-final the other night when Port Vale went through with a late goal from Martin Foyle. Some interesting team news for today. Kevin Francis, the big gangling striker, will be back for Stockport. That could make a difference for them. He's a real threat up front. As for Port Vale, they're going to bring in Peter Swan, their first-choice defender, despite the fact that he's having a groin operation on Derby Day. I think Port Vale here might want to turn on the style a little bit. Stockport County, Danny Bergara, that Uruguayan manager of theirs who I was seeing just a while ago in the dressing room, he was saying that he wants his players to absolutely die to get a Wembley win this time after 2 defeats in 8 days here last year. I reckon we could be in for a bit of a treat here. Nick Collins, meanwhile, has some team news for us, I think, Nick.
Ian, that's right. Yeah, listening to what you're saying about Kevin Francis, I couldn't agree more. 6'8" tall, 38 goals this season. He's the one man in this Stockport team that might make a difference because they have been beaten by Port Vale in the middle of the week. And Peter Swan's inclusion in the Vale side is a reflection of how much of a threat they think Kevin Francis is. 7 Stockport players, of course, played here last year and lost. My goodness me, they'll want a winner's medal this time. Let's go through the two teams. We'll start with the Port Vale side. In goal for them, of course, is Paul Musselwhite. Neil Aspin at fullback at number 2. Kevin Kent is the number 3 for Port Vale. He actually scored for Mansfield in a final here a few years ago. Going down the line also, Robin van der Laan, the Dutchman, who scored for Port Vale against Stoke in an earlier round that we saw live on Sky Sports. Martin Foyle at 9. Bernie Slaven and Ian Taylor, perhaps the danger men for Port Vale. On to Stockport very briefly. Neil Edwards had a great game for them in the playoff game against Port Vale in midweek. He's in goal again for Stockport today. And some fairly familiar names there for the Stockport fans. That'll encourage them. Jim Gannon is in at 7. Peter Ward at 8 will be captain. At 9, Kevin Francis, of course. And on the bench for Stockport, David Frayne and Andy Priest. So that's the team news. Now back to you, Sue.
Thanks very much, Nick. Well, that's the team news. We're going to take a break now. After that, we'll be back with the first half of the Autoglass Trophy final. Stay with us.
Refreshing dairy ice cream with the great taste of Mars.
Thank you, Ambassador. Night, Jim. Thank you.
Hey! Manoy Trănescu.
Ah, good man. Get him to move, sir. I'll do it, boss. Did you make your phone call, sir? I had a word with the ambassador, yes.
I phoned Barclaycard, sir.
Oh, please. International Rescue, sir. They got me a lawyer.
Shawty!
An English-speaking lawyer, sir.
Well, I'm being seen personally by the Minister of Justice.
Can I help you?
Ooh, dry white wine, please.
I'm afraid the bars are closed.
Bye.
TV presenter Ulrika Johnson uses Head and Shoulders.
On TV, people always notice your hair, so it's got to look perfect, which means dandruff would be headline news. I've used lots of shampoos, but my stylist convinced me to try Head and Shoulders. I found Head and Shoulders not only takes care of dandruff, but its rich lather really takes care of my hair. Now all I've got to worry about is my lines.
Head and Shoulders. Forget dandruff. Have beautiful hair.
Wherever you are, M&M's make a good time better. The smoothest milk chocolate, the crunchiest peanuts. So if you're out for fun, don't forget M&M's. You never know who's going to drop in. M&M's, the milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
He's last year's Formula One world champion. He's out there to prove his point at Indianapolis. His assault began in 5 phases, ranging from 185 to speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. Nigel Mansell passed his rookie test and is one step closer to motorsport's ultimate prize, the Indianapolis 500, May 30th, live and exclusive to Sky Sports in association with STP. The Autoglass Trophy Final. Sky Sports presents a clinical finish to the season in association with Autoglass.
And this year's final is between Port Vale and Stockport County. We now go back to Wembley and join Ian Darke, who has been joined in the commentary box by Lenny Lawrence.
And this is the scene in the tunnel at Wembley as the two teams await to enter the Wembley stage. On the right of your picture there, Port Vale, and on the left, Stockport County. Referee leading them out there is David Ellery, who's got a busy time coming up because he's going to be refereeing the playoff final match to decide who goes into the Premier League with Newcastle and West Ham. That's between Leicester City and Swindon Town in 9 days' time. And this is a great moment for any professional footballer, because in the mind of any little boy who ever pulled on a pair of football boots or had a kick around in the park, there's the fantasy of one day walking out of that famous tunnel onto the neatly manicured green bays of Wembley. And today, that fantasy is about to become reality for these second division footballers. These are moments that they'll treasure for the rest of their lives. Those anxious moments just waiting in the tunnel for the final signal, everything carefully orchestrated at Wembley. The teams meeting, let me remind you, for the 3rd time in 6 days. Port Vale coming out on top in the two-legged semi-final of the second division playoffs, with a late goal from Martin Foyle, who is in the Port Vale lineup, needless to say, yet again today. And outside, the fans wait. Stockport County fans, about 12,000 of them here, we understand. And that's against an average gate of something like 5,000. And here come the teams now. Referee David Ellery there on the right of your picture, the Harrow housemaster. There's John Rudge on the right and Danny Bergara on the left. John Rudge, the long-serving manager of Port Vale. Danny Bergara, one of the real characters of the game, the Stockport manager. Great moments for them. That's Robbie van der Laan with the long hair. And there's Danny Bergara, the man who has taken what is perennially, or used to be anyway, a basement club like Stockport County, and taken them now to 3 Wembley appearances in 12 months. He speaks in fractured English, but he's lived in this country for 20 years now. He has an English wife, Danny. He's really been around as well. Used to play in the Spanish First Division against the likes of Di Stefano and Puskas. Kevin Francis, 6 feet 7 inches, the tallest footballer playing in England. And he's going to be a handful, there's no doubt about it, for Port Vale's defence this afternoon. My co-commentator is Lenny Lawrence, the Middlesbrough manager. Great moments for these players, Lenny.
Yeah, it's still a great occasion for the players to be walking out at Wembley, although there's obviously many more Wembley appearances and finals than there used to be, but still a great moment for the players and for both the managers as well, who've done a terrific job at their respective clubs. Danny Bergara a little bit emotional there as he walked out, but both him and John Rudge have done marvellous jobs at their clubs, and it's a shame one of them's got to be a loser on the day.
Bobby Charlton, one of the most esteemed names still in English football, to be introduced by Stockport's County's skipper, Peter Ward, to the players. 7 of this team played last year in the Autoglass final. They've almost got a season ticket for the place, some of them, haven't they, Lenny?
Yes, that'll be an advantage to them, I think, if they've played before, especially in the opening 20 minutes, getting used to the pitch and the atmosphere and the occasion. But these two teams should know each other very well, as they've already played each other twice this week in the playoffs, as well as twice in the normal season.
In the tracksuit there, on the right of the 2 players in the tracksuit, that's David Frayne, who led Stockport out here at Wembley last year, but has a calf injury and not completely match fit. Well, that's Dean Glover, and I must say, personally, it's great to see him here at Wembley for the first time. Amanda has certainly paid his dues in reserve sides over the years.
He was an ex-Middlesbrough player, Dean Glover, and he was always very popular with the fans at Ayresome Park because of his wholehearted attitude and his commitment, and he's done a similar job at Port Vale, and he's just the sort of player who deserves an occasion like this.
Bernie Slavin there just shaking hands. You'll know him as well, of course. He just transferred into Port Vale.
Another old friend who left us this year and has gone to Port Vale and enjoyed a remarkable finale to his season, what with this appearance at Wembley and another one in 8 or 9 days' time in the playoff final against West Brom.
Russell White, the goalkeeper, who's become a regular this season, and John Rudge there, another of the characters of football, the Port Vale manager, who's been with the club for 13 years, the last 10 as manager. He's the third longest serving manager now playing or managing in the league. John Rudge, thoroughly pleasant man, and of course, needless to say, both of these two clubs are going to have big slap-up banquets tonight with the wives and supporters, some of the supporters anyway, and it's going to be a memorable night for them, although they'd love to celebrate, of course, with a trophy and a win.
Although it's a great occasion. Stockport lost in both the playoff final and this game last year, so they'll be looking to win something. And for Port Vale, although they've had a marvellous season, they finished with 89 points in the league, which is a record for not getting an automatic promotion spot. And they could still finish with nothing, although one would hope not.
Well, now we're going to have the national anthem. So as the two teams break off for the pre-match kick around, let's check on the two sides today. First of all, Port Vale, they're again without their stylish midfield playmaker Ray Walker, who's had a cartilage operation, and they make a surprise change. Their first choice central defender, Peter Swan, who needs a groin operation, is brought back into the side after missing the two playoff matches, and that's tough on Peter Billing, the man on loan from Coventry, who drops to substitute. It's a side with plenty of quality, with two proven goal scorers, Bernie Slaven, who hit so many goals for Middlesbrough, and Martin Foyle, whose late winner broke Stockport's hearts on Wednesday night. But the biggest threat could come from one of the discoveries of the season, Ian Taylor, playing there at number 11, who's hit 19 goals from midfield after moving from non-league football. Port Vale with 89 points and just missing promotion automatically.
Yeah, that's an amazing statistic that they should get 89 points and not get one of the two automatic spots. And as I say, the danger is for them is that they could lose today, lose a playoff final and finish the season with nothing, which would be unfair and heartbreaking for them. So I'm sure John Rudge will have them wound up to do their absolute best, and hopefully they won't falter now.
It's the Port Vale line-up with Porter just sweeping in front of that back three. They're very, very tight at the back, one of the tightest defences, certainly, playing in league football at the moment. But what about Stockport County? Their manager, Danny Bergara, broke his normal routine by telling the players the team yesterday at their Hertfordshire hotel. The great news for them is that Kevin Francis, that skyscraper of a striker who's hit 38 goals this season, he's back from suspension, and that could make a difference for them. With Mike Flynn and Darren Ryan both cup-tied, Stockport bring in defender Alan Finlay and Peter Duffield, who's on loan from Sheffield United. 7 of this team are survivors from last year's final when they lost by the only goal of the match to Stoke City.
Yeah, they've had a great season as well. Danny Bergara's done a fantastic job there on limited resources. Their team shape is a little bit different. They play with a sweeper, a back four, and Duffield in that position behind the front two.
OK, we're about to have the toss-up now. Let's go down to Nick Collins on the pitch.
Ian, thanks very much indeed. The two captains, Dean Glover and Peter Ward, are here with the referee, David Ellery. David, just before you start, two things. The yellow shirts, what do you think of them?
No comment.
No comment, fair enough. The coin that you're going to be using, is it a lucky one at all?
No, just a normal old 10p piece.
All right, we wish you luck. Off you go. And we'll stay as we are.
You've won the toss, have you?
Yeah.
And you're staying put?
Staying put, yeah.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Back to you, Ian.
Thanks very much indeed, Nick. Good-looking crowd at Wembley. They've had some excellent crowds over the years. For this particular final, it was nearly 80,000, I seem to remember, the year that Wolves played Burnley. And, of course, 3 playoff matches coming up next weekend. There's Kevin Francis. They're glad to have him back from suspension. 38 goals this season. And Peter Swan's inclusion in the Port Vale team, no coincidence. That's going to be a key clash, Lenny.
Obviously, with that height, and he's got quite a good touch for a big man as well. He's going to be a major threat in the air and also a major threat at set pieces. And obviously, as you say, Peter Swan's recall would have a lot to do with the fact that Kevin Francis returns after suspension. But interesting to see who's going to take the initiative and how things start and what the tempo of the game's going to be, and who tries to get on the attack and who's cautious from the off.
Well, they're certainly 2 stars in the same orbit, these 2 clubs. Now, it's weird the way things work out in football sometimes, that these 2, having reached this final, should then have met in the playoffs as well. Now, are Port Vale going to rub salt into the wounds, or will there be compensation for Stockport County with the Autoglass trophy to take back to the northwest with them tonight? That's cut out by Finlay. Now, here's Van der Laan, the Dutchman in the midfield. This is Taylor, the boy from non-league football who's made such a hit for Port Vale. Now Bernie Slaven trying to play the 1-2 with Taylor, and the pacey little Todd is the man who cuts it out for Stockport. Gannon helping it on here towards Beaumont. Aspin across quickly, very experienced defender. Neil Aspin. Stockport felt last year against Stoke City, when they had a couple of things disallowed, that they were pretty hard done by.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was a penalty dispute. The game started fairly predictably. Port Vale's 3-man defence is marking Francis and his striking partner very, very tightly and squeezing right up on them.
It's Foyle, who scored the winner with 6 minutes to go the other night to send Port Vale to Wembley again in 8 days' time, when they'll play West Bromwich Albion. Porter, that is, with the header. Now here's Van der Laan, whose parents have travelled across from Holland to see him in action here, he tells me. He says he's never played at Wembley before, and his header against Stoke City in the Southern Area semi-final was the goal that helped Port Vale on their way to this Wembley appearance. This is Aspin. Offside. A lot of the players, by the way, have been through a lot of their little pre-match superstitions. I know Peter Swan and Dean Glover of Port Vale have been not shaving this morning as some kind of lucky omen. This one hit in towards Gannon. Kerr is back for Port Vale. Now here's Glover. Kerr again, who sat on the bench at Wembley for Middlesbrough and has never actually been onto the surface until now.
That's a 3rd Middlesbrough connection in the Port Vale side. God, you must be doing something right.
They obviously like signing Middlesbrough players, don't they?
2 before my time, I might add. But good lads, and done a great job there.
Slaven getting in there with the header.
Both teams have lined up with 3-man defences. Stockport slightly different in that they're playing an out-and-out sweeper in David Miller with the other 2 centre-backs marking. Port Vale have got Neil Aspin, Peter Swan and Dean Glover, with Peter Swan taking Kevin Francis wherever he goes at the moment, obviously because of the height problem. Stockport are fairly direct, looking to get it up to Francis as quick as they can and go from there.
This is Duffield, who's back into the side in place of Darren Ryan, the youngster who is cup-tied for this game. He wears the number 11 for Stockport. Duffield again. This is aimed towards Francis, and he wins it in the air predictably enough. Van der Laan getting it away for Port Vale.
good situation there when Francis pulled away to the far post and found himself up against Dean Glover there, he's got a 5 or 6 inch advantage over. That'll be a problem for Port Vale. Another free kick to Stockport.
Big Alan Finley's come up from the back here as well, and this is aimed towards him. He gets the header on as well. Francis on the turn, and it didn't quite drop for him, but that was dangerous from Stockport.
Yeah, good free kick. They used Francis as a decoy there and hit the big centre half. He knocked it down, but as you say, it didn't quite carry him, and Francis couldn't quite get round it there. Knocks it down. He tries to hit it on the turn, but couldn't quite get hold of it there.
He's talking to some of the Stockport lads. They're absolutely desperate to get something out of this match after the disappointment they've had in the week. I just wonder whether half of Port Vale's mind will be on that big game, the more important one for them, it has to be said, against West Bromwich Albion, the playoff final in 8 days' time.
Good point. They could lose this and it would be disappointing, obviously, but if they lose the playoff final, it would be devastating after the season they've had.
This is Taylor. Good work, linking up with Porter, but Stockport, a very tenacious, difficult side to play against. Miller.
Interesting Port Vale tactic there. If Francis, the big Stockport striker, pulls away to one of the other centre-backs, they're being left to mark him, so you wonder if they get a good service up to him, whether he can make his height advantage tell there.
Well, he plays with a smile on his face as well, that's good to see. Knocked on by Duffield towards Gannon. Duffield again, who's being deployed or will be just behind the front two. Todd can't keep that in play. Lee Todd, a former Hartlepool youngster, who's reckoned to be the quickest player on Stockport's books. This is Swan. Michael Wallace, that was, getting the header in for Stockport. Recently made the number 3 shirt his own. Slaven. And finding Glover in some space. Kerr's pulled wide if he wants to use him. Instead, it's floated in there, almost dropping down here for Taylor. It does, in fact. Hooked away by Bill Williams. Now here's Van der Laan. Porter again. Slaven, Van der Laan. Nice football this from Port Vale. It's opening up for the Dutchman. And the shot didn't match the build-up.
Good little link up there. Bernie's found himself some space on the edge of the box there, which he's very good at. He's cut back inside, knocks it off to Van der Laan, who's found himself some space, but unfortunately he couldn't keep his shot down or on target. Good little move. That's the first sort of attacking flurry we've had from Port Vale. Good little attack there, some good link up around the edge of the box. After quite a bright start from Stockport, we've had most of the play.
Bernie Slaven, of course, with lots of top-flight experience, though this is only his second Wembley appearance, he tells me. The other for Middlesbrough against Chelsea in the ZDS final. Porter, aimed towards Kerr. Todd is not going to be chopped for pace too often.
Obviously not.
Kerr again. Port Vale, known as a footballing side. Slaven looks busy and sharp in the opening stages. Paul Kerr. Taylor just inside. In Kerr. Hits the byline. That's dangerous cross. Williams getting the foot in. Kerr once more. Here's Ian Taylor. Good battling away. And this drops down here. Foyle is in there. And Stockport surviving, but a little precariously, perhaps. Now Jim Gannon. Foyle getting in behind, can he? No, that's good defending by Wallace. Kent wins it back, though. Foyle with the cross. Port Vale corner.
Yeah, their passing and movement around the edge of the box is causing some problems for Stockport at the moment. Port Vale look very bright and full of ideas Last 5 minutes especially centred around Bernie Slave in there, who's linking up very well. First corner for Port Vale. Be interesting to see how they get over the problem of bypassing Francis. If I was him, I'd hit it wherever he wasn't.
Port Vale's corner. Now can Stockport counter. It's given away by Williams. Taylor was in there. And at the moment, Stockport can hardly get a kick.
See, if you play 5 at the back like Stockport are doing, their full-backs are much more defensive and virtually in line with the centre-backs, whereas Port Vale's are pushing their wide players on in level with the midfield. If you get forced back defensively like Stockport are doing, sometimes it's difficult to get out because you've got so many people at the back and the midfield players finish up on top of you. That's what's happened at the moment. And Port Vale are playing very well.
Yeah, they're just a bit short of escape routes at times.
Correct.
Gannon. Duffield. Here's Francis. Duffield once again on the turn. Good little instinctive effort, not a bad idea.
Nice little bit of football link up there between the strikers and Peter Duffield.
Francis playing it inside, and Duffield just sensing something might be on, but not really getting hold of it. Ward gives this one away. He hasn't got in the game yet, and he's an important player for Stockport. That's a good ball from Van der Laan. Slaven trying to break through. Chris Beaumont. One of the many Stockport players who used to be with Rochdale, where the manager Danny Bergara was, and did a pretty good job at that club as well.
Correct, he's done a pretty good job wherever he's been, Danny. He's one of the most likeable people in the game.
Well, in the 2 playoff games, Stockport managed just 1 goal against Port Vale, and that was a penalty. They are difficult to break down. They've got good, solid defenders. One of them here, Glover. Now then, Beaumont, Glover getting the foot in. Van der Laan, who's made a bright start for Port Vale. The unmistakable figure of Aspin. A man who once cancelled his wedding to play in an FA Cup semi-final for Leeds United against Coventry in 1987, and of course failed to make it to Wembley that time.
But nevertheless, a sensible decision. Oops, we're in here.
Oh, they're in here, then this could be the chance maybe for Stockport, and a great challenge from Swan to deny Beaumont.
There's a great ball over the top there, a good early ball. Great ball from the left back over the top, the best pass of the game so far. Chris Beaumont's latched onto it. Seemed to hesitate a little bit, and it's a great recovery tackle from Peter Swan to knock it out for a corner. He'll be a bit disappointed with that. The ball got stuck a little bit between his feet there, and he couldn't get his shot away. First danger from Stockport at the corner.
Stockport do have the corner. Too long for Francis. Van der Laan with the defensive header, but that was the closest thing yet that Stockport have created. Wallace, who's really good through ball, set the whole thing up. Kevin Kent, who scored for Mansfield in this final when it was known as the Freight Rover in '87, trying to get Taylor in. That was more encouraging, though, for Stockport. And Beaumont will be kicking himself for not providing the finish. But give credit to Swan. Gannon here. Here's Kerr, the former Middlesbrough and Millwall man. Glover. David Ellery, despite bending down to avoid being hit, well, he was the victim of exactly that. You can't win sometimes.
That's a good tactic by Stockport, because Port Vale's 3 defenders are marking very tight and squeezing up wherever possible, so if they can get in behind them, there's oceans of space.
Port Vale 0, Stockport County 0. Still inside the first quarter of an hour of the Autoglass Trophy final, live from Wembley on Sky Sports. Slaven and Taylor not reading each other's minds. Porter retrieving it. Now here's Slaven again. Kerr's made a run here. That's a great ball from Slaven. Kerr with the chance, and Kerr in the goal, and Port Vale lead by a goal to nil, and that was beautifully fashioned. Slaven's great ball, and the finish from Kerr was perfection.
Yeah, it's a great ball from Bernie Slaven there. He's released it at just the right time, so Kerr's onside. He's timed his run perfectly. He just needs one touch with the outside of his foot to tuck it away in the back of the net. Great pass there from Bernie and a great run. He's run across the defender there to leave himself all the goal to aim at. Keeper's gone to ground early and he's lifted it over him into the back of the net. Good movement from the other striker there as well to take the defender away. They'll be disappointed with that Stockport, especially with a three-man defence.
I was going to say, there's the difference, isn't it? Sometimes in professional football, Stockport had a very similar chance and didn't take it just about 2 minutes before.
Correct, exactly right.
It was the 14th goal of the season, that, for Paul Kerr. It's his best ever return. Not bad at all for a midfield player, that. 14 goals.
It's interesting, you see. They haven't got an orthodox left-back, Port Vale. Paul Kerr is not a full-back, really. He's occupying this wide position. Interesting if he has to do any defending, but he's been able to make 1 or 2 runs to join the attackers to great effect, as you saw there. At the moment, Stockport can't do anything about it because they've got nobody on that side apart from their right-back, who's deep.
What I really liked about that goal was the class of Slaven in setting it out.
Just released at exactly the right time. A bit later and he'd have been offside, and a bit earlier and the defender might have read it. Just bisected the defence there perfectly. And with a three-man defence, they'll be disappointed with that. Another chance for Port Vale from a free kick.
It really was a quality goal to lighten and brighten the occasion here at Wembley. And Port Vale looking buoyant, and I must say, quite classy so far. Here's Kerr. Glover takes a look up, tries to measure it, almost far for Taylor. That was an important defensive header from Miller, I think it was. Just got a little nick on it, David Miller, with Taylor closing in behind him. David Miller, whose dad played for Burnley in the 1962 FA Cup final against Spurs' double-winning side, and I think he marked the late John White. Running in the family.
As it often does.
Doesn't look unlike his dad either.
No, he doesn't. He's got a job on there now, David Miller. They've just got to make sure they don't concede another goal in the next 5 or 10 minutes, Stockport, or they're going to find it very, very difficult to come back.
So far, Francis has been pretty carefully policed. They're knocking this one forward, and Glover with a very, very cool defensive header. Picked up Van der Laan. He not only cleared it, but found one of his own men. Here he is again, the impressive Port Vale captain. And that almost gets in behind. In fact, it has for Slaven. More problems here. Van der Laan is the runner. Slaven once more. Portafoyle going down. 1 or 2 half-hearted appeals for a penalty, but not from any of the Port Vale players significantly.
No, I think that was accidental, that one just tripped. Port Vale are in all sort of running right at the moment. Bernie's popping up wide, he keeps coming off the defenders, he's picking the ball up all over the shot. He's starting most movements.
Here's Kevin Kent now turning up on the left. Taylor on the far post, but Wallace got there ahead of him and did well, really, because he was giving away a few inches there. Now, Francis, what can he do up against Aspin? No foul.
There's a chance.
Beaumont.
They can switch it.
Gannon's on the far post in a lot of space, and Porter just got back in time.
Yeah, he popped up there. It was a good run from Gannon. He was completely unmarked there if they could have got that across, but unfortunately for them, they weren't able to cross it.
Finley's long ball. Gannon's header on. Nobody there.
Although Stockport have got 3 central defenders at the moment, Bernie Slaven and Martin Ford, the other striker, especially Bernie, are popping up all over the place. They're getting no pressure on him. Bernie's going wide and getting it. He's coming off the central, the defenders and getting it. and he's setting most things up. And Taylor's getting into the gaps he's leaving, and Kerr's getting into the gaps he's leaving, and Stockport need to sort that out, otherwise they're going to be in trouble.
This is aimed towards Martin Foyle. Williams getting there, but Taylor helping on again. Miller with the clearance, but Stockport finding it hard to retain possession for any length of time.
They're too deep.
And they might find that quite tiring, chasing around on this big Wembley pitch, which suits Port Vale, because believe it or not, their pitch is bigger.
Yeah, it is a big pitch, and they're a passing team. They're looking a good side at the moment. There's lots of space to play because the Stockport defenders have been pushed too deep, and at the moment they're getting pulled around all over the shop. There's Bernier again on the ball.
Now Van der Laan. Good defensive header that from Wallace. And here's Gannon, who does such a good job for Stockport. Beaumont is wide. Wallace is on the overlap if he wants to use him. Here he is. Glover was there. He attacked the ball. Francis didn't.
Correct.
This is aimed towards Francis. Francis with a chance, and Aspin dived in there and did the job. And this is dropping, is it for Beaumont? No, because Musselwhite is there.
Good little flurry from Stockport there. The last cross was a decent one and knocked back across the goal, but Dean Glover was goal side of his man all the time and made sure it was shepherded through to the keeper without any problems.
Neil Aspin was the man who had that vital block there as Francis was cocking the trigger to shoot. Port Vale making quite an impact here at Wembley when you consider that quite a few people, neutrals, don't know where the place is. In case you're still wondering, it's in Stoke. There's a famous story of the manager who thought he was going off to somewhere on the coast near Merseyside when they had an away fixture with Port Vale. I'm serious. I won't embarrass him by naming him. Swan. This is Martin Foyle. Now Glover. Now Taylor. Slaven. Port Vale just thinking up some new plot. Van der Laan.
See, look how deep all the Stockport players are there. Even if the ball is won and cleared up to the two strikers, they've got 30 yards to go before they can support. At the moment, Port Vale are just knocking the ball around, and it's like an exhibition match. Stockport need to get some pressure on the ball. It's too easy for the strikers and the midfield players to run into the holes behind the fullbacks. Unless they do something about that, Stockport, they're going to find it a very long, tiring afternoon.
Well, there was a gap of 17 points between the two clubs in Division 2, with Port Vale finishing 3rd and Stockport in 6th place. Glover towards Foyle. Miller with the clearance for Stockport. Here's Swan. Not the best ball from him. Todd. And Stockport do something here. And Aspin beats Francis in the air. Wonders will never cease. Wallace. And Musselwhite does a good job.
That was a good cross, that. Probably the best cross Stockport have made there. Michael Wallace crossed a nice ball with his left foot, but unfortunately Kevin Francis couldn't get his feet right quick enough and get to the back post.
Foyle.
That's the first offside we've had. Nearly every ball that Port Vale have played forward from the back or the midfield, Martin Foyle or Bernie Slaven have latched onto. That's the first offside we've had for a long time. Stockport have got to do that. They have got to move up the pitch. Otherwise, there is just too much space for Port Vale to play in.
Slaven was the man offside there. Bernie Slaven, top scorer for Middlesbrough just about every season he was there in the league. Lee Todd. Porter. Oh, Miller misses his header there. Slaven was hunting out something behind him for a moment. And Stockport get away with it. And a hint of handball there, but play on, says the referee. Kerr. They really are oozing confidence at the moment, Port Vale. Aspin. Kevin Kent. Now, John Rudge said that this big pitch would suit his side and that they were supremely confident going into the match, and so far that's reflected itself in the Port Vale performance.
Absolutely, they've controlled the game apart from the opening 5 or 6 minutes and knocking at the ball about at will at the moment. Stockport are chasing shadows.
Taylor. Kent with the cross, is aimed towards Foyle. Now Gannon. And Stockport just needing, you feel, to get a wee bit more precision into their work when they do get hold of it.
He's got to pass it there. I mean, they're 30 yards away, you know. I mean, Kevin Francis is a good athlete, but he's not that quick. He needs it to feet there, and they need to get up and join with him, you know. At the moment, there's so much distance between the midfield players and the front players, they can't get any counter-attacks going because they're all so deep.
Carl Lewis wouldn't have got that last one. Correct. Stockport County, who had a long route to this final. They beat Chesterfield and Chester, Hartlepool, Bradford 4-3. They had to beat Chesterfield again, and then 2 matches against Wigan, where they came from behind to win the Northern final in the second leg. This is Gannon. Wallace, who's played quite well for Stockport, and one of their more impressive players. And here's one of the most impressive for Port Vale, Slaven. This time he doesn't keep possession. Finlay for Stockport County. The aerial battle between Francis and Swan, won by the Stockport man. Nobody to pick up the pieces.
So that's the classic there. So the ball's gone 50 yards, he's won it, and the ball's dropped in the D, but they're so far away, the rest of the players, that nobody's in a position to pick up the knockdown.
No problems for Neil Edwards, who had an outstanding game in the second leg of the playoff semi-final the other night with a string of saves to keep Stockport in business and right until the closing minutes. Boyle. Slaven. Taylor is offside. He doesn't know it. He will in a moment.
Another good run from Ian Taylor there, who's been a very, very impressive player this year. He's brought out non-league from Moor Green, and he's attracted the attention of a lot of Premier League clubs. Just took an extra touch there, Bernie. If he'd knocked that through first time, Foyle might have gotten the end of it.
Ian Taylor cost only £15,000 and has got 19 goals from Moor Green, as Lenny was saying. I know Manchester City were one of the clubs who were watching him quite a lot, but Port Vale are desperate to hold on to him, needless to say. Glover, good header again out of defence. Kerr, the goal scorer. And this is Ward. Stockport need to maybe channel more things through him, and Gannon here. Now Foyle, that's a good ball to find him as well. He's on his own at the moment, he's waiting for support. Van der Laan could provide it, goes alone, Foyle, and nice angle on it, wrong height.
There's a good break from Port Vale there. Foyle had spun away from his marker there. They didn't close him down enough, and he was able to get his shot away from the edge of the box. Both Stockport have got a three-man defence at the moment back there with a sweeper. At the end of the day, it's not doing them any good, and they're losing out in other areas because of it. And if I was Danny Bergara, I'd think seriously about changing that at half-time.
Martin Foyle, 30 years of age, and he's been around at Southampton, Oxford, Aldershot and Port Vale, but he's never played at Wembley before today. Danny Bergara, the Uruguayan who manages Stockport, 1 promotion and 3 Wembley appearances, but he's known some agony in this stadium before, and he's hoping it's not going to be a similar story.
It's good movement now.
Port Vale at the moment, has to be said, look, good value for their lead. They've played with some style on the broad acres of Wembley Stadium. This is Aspin trying to run Francis, but Aspin needs about 6 strides to Francis's 1.
I think he was hoping it was going to go out of play there, Kevin Francis, but he was about 10 yards short.
I love the Brian Clough quote about Kevin Francis. He said he could clean my upstairs window without a ladder, this guy. And of course Stockport played Forest this year in the Coca-Cola Cup. 6'7". He looks taller too, doesn't he? Here's Taylor. Swan with the clearance for Port Vale, who always look better when they've got the ball on the floor and are pushing it around among their midfield players.
Yeah, they can't get any pressure on the ball, Stockport, and Port Vale are just knocking it around into midfield and getting as good a service into their front players. Bernie Slaven and Martin Foyle is ever likely to see, and it's going from there. Let Stockport do that. They're going to spend the afternoon, or most of the afternoon, defending and just hopefully plan on the break.
But it could be that Stockport just create something from one set piece and then the mood might change.
Quite right.
We've seen that so often. Yeah. But at the moment, Port Vale do look in quite cosy control of things. Glover to Foyle.
See, it's interesting. Stockport's 2 wide players are like 2 full-backs pushed in, as I've said. Now, the people occupying the wide positions for Port Vale are not full-backs. Kerr and Kent are both really attacking midfield players. And if Stockport could get at those players, it might be a different story. But at the moment, they're running the show. Especially Paul Kerr, who's popping up all over the shot. He's on the ball now.
Here he is again. He's thinking about a shot too. Slavin. Van der Laan. Not a bad try at all from the Dutchman.
See, nobody's getting a grip of Paul Kerr there. He's picking the ball up deep and running up players and getting good links up with Bernie like there was there. And Stockport are camped back on the edge of the box. Good set up by Bernie there, look. Van der Laan's good strike, a better effort, but still going just wide and just over the top. But there's not enough pressure on the ball. They've got bodies back there, Stockport, but they're not doing enough.
Reminder of games coming up on Sky Sports. Norway v England in the under-21s. That's on Tuesday week. And then the big World Cup match itself. What a vital one. Norway v England, live from Oslo, 6 o'clock Wednesday week. Derby day, if you need a reminder. It's also the same day that Peter Swan of Port Vale's having a groin operation. You really wanted to know that, didn't you? Peter Slavin. Slavin now building this one up. Wide for Kerr, who's having a great game on this left-hand side. Foyle was in there. Couldn't get the header on it. Finlay did enough just to make sure he didn't.
Another good break down this left side, and that's where at the moment Port Vale are running riot. The poor old right back for Stockport, Lee Todd, is having a torrid time against Paul Kerr. I think there needs to be some reorganisation there from Stockport, otherwise they're going to struggle.
I'm beginning to think that you should do their half-time team talk, Lenny.
I'm sure Danny will do it again. I mean, I haven't seen Stockport play. Maybe they just play this way, and that's the only way they can play, you know. So that may be the case, but he's certainly got to start thinking about getting far across the midfield and getting a grip of the Port Vale midfield players.
That was that cross that Foyle just couldn't quite get on the end of. Lee Todd, who's having a tough time containing Kerr down Port Vale's left. Later on, by the way, Lenny Lawrence will have the job of selecting the man of the match, but he doesn't have to think about that for a while yet. Might be a few twists and turns in the plot before then. Van der Laan brought down by Bill Williams, the long-serving Stockport defender.
There's a classic there. Kerr's pulled off deep there. The right back doesn't know whether to go with him or fill the space. Does neither, and Van der Laan makes a great run into the space. Defender has to come out late. Foul, free kick, dangerous situation. Port Vale's passing and movement at the moment shows terrific planning and good imagination, and they're well on top at the moment.
Kent with the free kick for Port Vale. And Edwards very safe. Port Vale with 89 points in Division 2 can count themselves very unlucky not to get automatic promotion. They were pipped right at the death by Bolton Wanderers for the automatic spot, but I've seen a bit of this division, and I have to say the team they're playing in the playoff final, West Brom, are good enough to go up too.
Yeah, with all due respect, I think they'll find West Brom in the playoff final, on the evidence so far anyway, a bit of a tougher nut to crack, because they will also be very much suited by Wembley with their passing style. That should be
very good game.
One hell of a good game.
He really should.
Here's a chance for Stockport, free kick in a danger position. What they need is a good quality ball in here. They do not want to waste this, because they've had much chance in the last 25 minutes.
Now this is where Stockport just might be dangerous. They've got Francis, of course, to aim for. Miller takes it. Swan is the man who gets it away. Peter Swan, who is carrying that groin injury. He's missed some matches recently, but desperately wanted to play today. And he's got 2 coach loads of fans and friends who've come down from Leeds to see him, he tells me. Yeah. It's noted on by Francis this time. They haven't really got Francis in on goal yet, though.
No, that free kick didn't reach him, and Gannon went for it and tumbled over in the box, but I don't think there was a foul there. Another corner for Stockport and another opportunity for him. The set plays haven't been inspiring so far.
What can they come up with this time? The skipper, Ward, has gone across to take it. He was the man who drifted a beautiful equalising goal in the Northern final against Wigan. Ward's corner then for Stockport. Taylor clears it. Ian Taylor, who's never even been to Wembley before having a look around yesterday. Francis gets a free header, dropping around dangerously. Ping-pong in the penalty area. That wasn't a coup from Port Vale, and Ward and Musselwhite getting Port Vale out of that little hole. But Stockport looked for a moment there as if they might be in some business.
First bit of slack defending from Port Vale throughout the match, really. Didn't quite get the man in front of the long throw properly, and it got touched on. The cross eventually came to nothing. Easy for the keeper to deal with. Port Vale on the move again. There's Bernie pulled out wide, look, and left room for Taylor to make a run through the middle. There he is on the ball.
Slaven looking around to assess the options. One of them was Porter. And Glover Wild. Glover chipping it into foil, nodded back to Slaven. Lovely move and a lovely goal. That was terrific from Port Vale. And Bernie Slaven, the ace marksman, has struck again. And Port Vale lead by 2-0. John Rogers all smiles, and no wonder, because they've turned it on here, Port Vale. 2-0 up now.
All that move from the start showed all the good things that Port Vale are doing. The ball got switched from right to left. Dean Glover's got forward, no pressure on him. A great little ball in and a great layoff from Martin Ford. Bernie takes it in his stride. Great finish with his favourite left foot. The defenders are too deep. At the moment, Port Vale are looking like AC Milan.
That really was a terrific goal. Both of the goals have been wonderfully worked.
Yeah,
Slaven, who
started the move on the far side and finished it 6 passes later.
Sure, and of course he made the first goal, and here he is again. Are you wishing that he's still at Middlesbrough? I've been holding off on that question, Lenny, but I have to ask you.
To be fair, I mean, he was a great servant to Middlesbrough, and that's one of the reasons we gave him a free. He looks a new man. He looks refreshed. I think he's never had as much of the ball in 35 minutes play in one game in all his life as he's had today. He looks a good player. He looks refreshed. And it looks as if he's benefiting from the new challenge at Port Vale. Good luck to him.
That's a very honest assessment. Thanks for that, Lenny.
With all due respect, the Premier League is a little bit different to the second division. The pace of it and the skill of it and everything else. But he looks as if he's benefited from the move. And as I say, it's reward for the terrific service he gave to Middlesbrough over many years, and that he should finish up with 2 Wembley appearances. Well, not finish up. He's got, obviously, the way he's playing, looks as if he's got a lot of years to go yet.
And what a coup it was for this man to get Bernie Slaven playing in this division, because his experience and quality of playing in the Premier League football on the top flight has actually shone out, hasn't it? Well, I think we can have another look here at the goal. There's some suggestion here that there might have been a hand somewhere involved in this. Have a look again.
There comes Dean Glover. You see no pressure on the ball. The right back's caught there. Martin Foyle lays it off. No, it's on his thigh. It's bounced off on his thigh.
I didn't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, it'll please the coach load of supporters who've come down from Middlesbrough, especially to see Bernie play today.
Well, they've got a goal for it, haven't they, now?
They've got a great performance from it as well as a goal.
It really is a coach load from Middlesbrough.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, brilliant. Slaven turning again, saying, I've got the ball. Why are we having a free kick here? Let's get on with it. Let's have an advantage.
So he's pulled wide again there, got the ball to feet. Taylor's made a run from midfield into the gap he's left, and that's what they've been doing. And, you know, I don't want to tell Danny what to do there, but he's got to sort it out, otherwise they're going to get a thrashing.
Well, let's see what tactical amendments are made. Port Vale leading by 2 goals to 0 and looking good for it too. Paul Kerr and Bernie Slaven have got the goals. This is Porter chipping it forward. France is having to get back and defend now. This is Bill Williams. Gannon. Williams again. In towards Francis. He was looking for Beaumont. And might this have been a different story if Chris Beaumont had put away that very clear chance early on for Stockport?
It might have made lifetime more difficult. But you see, when that ball went into Francis there was nobody within 20 yards of him. So when it was flicked on, there's nobody in a position to pick up the bits or get on the end of it. And that's the first problem they've got to address, Stockport.
He was a first division player for Leeds when he was only 16, Neil Aspin.
He looks older than he is.
It's the hair, isn't it, that does it? He's playing well, though.
Yeah, he is. He's had a good career.
Glover. He's going to try it. Now, Stockport. Then they counter. Gannon here. He's really only got Francis to aim at. Now there's Duffield on this side. Pots on the overlap. Glover had read it. The Port Vale captain has not put a single foot wrong as far as I can see so far.
Absolutely right. He's been outstanding in defence. Bernie Slaven has been absolutely outstanding at the front, and Taylor and Kerr have also been very industrious and creative in the middle of the park. I wonder if Ozzy Ardiles is watching and what he makes of it.
Indeed, I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is.
Ozzy, of course, who manages West Brom, who play Port Vale in 8 days' time for a place in next season's First Division. Now, Todd. Duffield. Todd again, it's all a bit tight. Now Gannon. A bit more promising. Foyle to Van der Laan. Foyle again. Lots of room for Port Vale to operate, and an offside flag against Kerr on this near side. Danny Bergara has some problems to sort out at half-time. He doesn't need us to tell him that. The first foreign manager to lead an English side out at Wembley. That was last year, and of course he's now done it 3 times, and it really does shape up as if they're going to have 3 heartbreaks on the trot at Wembley Stockport unless something dramatic can happen in the second half, and you never know, to change things around.
Yeah, they need to reorganise and change the shape of their team, in my opinion, and obviously they need an early goal to get themselves back into it. But Danny's been at it a long time, and no doubt he'll address himself to those problems in the half-time break.
Now Duffield, Beaumont, and Francis is offside here.
Good move, unlucky there. Just about a yard or two offside.
Port Vale lost only one of their last 12 matches. Stockport, interestingly, despite getting into the playoffs, won only 2 of their last 12. They didn't end the season too well. Have a look at this. I don't think Francis was offside. He was level by the look of it, but it doesn't matter now.
Nice little passing move there, and a good spin out from Francis. Nearly got himself on the end of that. Bit unfortunate.
Kerrigan.
Here we go again.
Slaven was on the near post and screaming for it.
That right back Lee Todd has got to have some assistance. You know, he keeps getting outnumbered 2 against 1 there, or find himself with players running at him from deep positions. Very difficult task.
Final seconds of the first half at Wembley in the Autoglass Trophy final, which you're watching live on Sky Sports. Port Vale playing nice football, neat football, attractive football, and leading by 2-0. They have a corner now. It's taken by Kerr. Taylor was attacking it. Still might break the foil here. Kerr again. And easy for Edwards. And is that the last alarm for Stockport of the first half? They're in the position, really, where they do need to get into that dressing room and reorganise. Francis. He's got away. Holding off the defenders. Is that in play? It still is. Taylor with the clearance, but there Kevin Francis ran the defence for the first time and looked a bit hot to handle.
He looked a bit awkward there and shoved off Kerr there and got himself to the byline. Looks as if the ball was going to go out of play. He's clawed it back with his long legs, and Port Vale had the benefit of a lucky bounce there. Could have gone anywhere.
Stockport were a bit unlucky there.
Yeah, they were.
That could have easily broken for them.
Yeah, that's right.
Wallace. Good run from Francis, it was. And there goes the whistle to end the first half, a half which has been dominated by Port Vale with some stylish football. Paul Kerr scoring the first, set up by Bernie Slaven, and Slaven himself a delightful second goal. And Port Vale at half-time, their fans absolutely delighted, because it's Port Vale 2, Stockport County 0. Don't go away.
In association with Sega, Sky Sports takes you live to Norway as the group leaders battle for a place in the World Cup finals.
England's World Cup campaign is underway.
June 2nd, Norway beat England in a World Cup qualifier. Norway shocked England at Wembley. Now they must be beaten at home on their own turf. England must win to stay ahead of Holland in the finals race. June 2nd, Norway battle England, and the only place you'll see the whole match live is on Sky Sports.
That was that time at Frank's party.
Frank's party?
Fancy dress, wasn't it?
No, you were. The party wasn't, though.
You spent all night catching up that girl, remember?
Oh, she could have been a film star.
Yeah, Godzilla.
There was a pool in the back garden.
It was a fish pond. Stuck in it.
Yeah, but there was that massive guy pushed me in.
He was tiny.
Do you remember Louise in the stripy dress?
She wasn't wearing a dress. It was a T-shirt, right?
Should have seen your face.
I wish we'd had a camera.
We could have got some wicked pictures.
Yeah, but who'd take a camera to one of Frank's parties?
Kodak Fun Cameras. Take pictures where you wouldn't take a camera.
TV presenter Ulrika Johnson uses Head and Shoulders.
On TV, people always notice your hair, so it's got to look perfect, which means dandruff would be headline news. I've used lots of shampoos, but my stylist convinced me to try Head & Shoulders. I found Head & Shoulders not only takes care of dandruff, but its rich lather really takes care of my hair. Now all I've got to worry about is my lines.
Head & Shoulders. Forget dandruff. Have beautiful hair.
You're witnessing a once-in-a-lifetime event. The birth of a car that takes motoring into a new era. The Citroën Xantia. With its unique road handling system, the Xantia offers levels of refinement and a degree of control and security you've never experienced before. The Citroën Xantia, the car to eclipse all others.
Okay, who keeps using my Biactol?
Not me.
Guess not.
Biactol every day helps keep spots away.
Are you using a separate colour detergent and fabric softener? Are you spending more than you need? Stop. You could have made a better buy with new Bold Colour. It's an ultra-colour detergent and softener all in one. And it costs less than these two. So why buy two? Just buy one. New Bold Colour all in one. Better buy Bold.
Wherever you are, M&Ms make a good time better. The smoothest milk chocolate, the crunchiest peanuts. So if you're out for fun, don't forget M&Ms. You never know who's going to drop in. M&Ms, the milk chocolate melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
Right Guard with double protection. It works hardest when you need it most.
It's gonna be all right.
Superb first half at Wembley in the Autoglass Trophy final. And now it's over to Paul Dempsey and Mark Bright for their views on the game so far.
A lovely day in the sunshine, but only if you're a Port Vale supporter, Bark. So far, match facts will tell the story of Port Vale domination throughout this first half. The key figure, 2-0 they lead, 6 shots to 2, 2 to 1 on target. Corners 1-2 apiece, interestingly enough. Pretty well matched on free kicks conceded. Port Vale reflecting their attacking domination, perhaps caught offside 4 times to 1. Mark Bright, ex-Port Vale, now very much Sheffield Wednesday, but a soft spot for Vale, Mark. Yeah. And it's going your way completely so far.
Yeah, from a Vale point of view, I mean, they've played some excellent football. Be fitting for the final, to be honest. They played it from the back to the front. Every player has had a touch of the ball, they've used it well, and I think they scored 2 quality goals.
Let's have a quick look back at the goals, shall we, which were collector's items, both of them in their own way. First, Paul Kerr. Talk us through this, Mark.
Yeah, Martin Phil makes a diagonal run across, and Bernie Sladen slips him a lovely ball between 2 defenders. It runs nice for him, and he hits it outside the foot. It's a really confident strike.
One of the criticisms you had of the Stockport defending was that they did not push on and create problems for the Vale forwards.
I think I echo what Lenny's saying all along. I think that there's too much space, they're too deep. There's a lot of movement in Port Vale's side. I think the front 2 players have done excellent, not just because I'm striker. I mean, Bernie Sladen's having a fantastic game, and so's his co-striker.
To that point, 15 minutes gone, really Vale had set out and dictated terms, hadn't they?
Yeah, I thought right from the first whistle. Van der Land's getting the ball, he's dictating play. The wide players are pushing on, they're keeping possession. They've got midfield players who are running past forwards. They've got a lot of movement in the side and really good football.
Are you surprised by how Stockport set out to play today?
Yeah, I said if you play long ball on Wembley, you have to get players close to Kevin Francis. He will win 95% of the balls because of his size anyway. he's good in the air, but you need players close to him. I just think from the back to the front, they're too far apart.
The longer it went, the more and more likely it seemed that Port Vale would go further in front. And sure enough, 38 minutes gone, Bernie Slavin, who's been scoring goals all his career, all over the country.
Yeah, it's a fantastic goal. He comes short and then he spins off. Martin Foyle drops the ball off to him, takes a nice touch on the thigh, and then drives it in. Port Vale seems to have players in the box spare as well. As you can see, I think it's a great touch. I think it was a suggestion of handball, but I don't think so. I think it just came off his thigh.
Maybe from this angle we'll clear that up.
It's good movement from strikers, that. It's good movement. I think just hits him on the thigh, maybe just the bottom chest. He drives it in.
And there seemed very half-hearted protest from the Stockport defenders as well about that.
Yeah. I think they've been dominated, and I think, like Lenny says, he may need to switch it around at half-time.
The only interesting thing is, even though Stockport have been dominated by Vale, they have had a couple of moments where they could have gone in just a goal adrift. Now, even early on, Chris Beaumont, this is an excellent ball out from the back.
It's a good ball by the left back. I think it goes between the two central defenders, and I don't think Glover calls to maybe Peter Swan. He takes a touch. I think he's just trying to commit the goalkeeper, but it's a great recovery from Peter Swan, the defender there.
Swan restored to the defence today.
Yes, I mean, it's he watched it go over his head. I don't think he realises that the striker's in there, and this is when the score's 0-0 as well. They could have had that's the best chance they've had, really.
Well, you know that feeling, I have to say, because important goals and chances don't come your way all the time at Wembley, and you've got to take advantage of it.
That's right, yeah. I mean, I had a couple the other day. We should have taken them.
There was another one near the end when Stockport could have engineered something for themselves.
I thought he showed great determination here, Kevin Francis. You know, he gets up off the deck and he shrugs one tackle. He won't give it up. And this only has to fall kindly to one of the Stockport players, but they've got players in the box, but it just doesn't roll to them. And so it's things like that sometimes that make you wonder if it's not going to be your day.
Well, Danny Bragaro's got a big job on in the dressing room right now to change things around.